The galaxy's oldest civilizations had existed for millennia in an elegant dance of order, progress, and knowledge. At the heart of this harmony were the Eldorans, an ancient race whose technology had reached the point of near-mythical prowess. They had achieved mastery over life and death, illness and health, and could even manipulate time to a degree. Immortal, wise, and deeply respectful of the natural order, the Eldorans viewed themselves as caretakers of the universe. Life among the Eldorans was serene. They had long outgrown the need for conflict or recklessness. Their society functioned on principles of caution, responsibility, and a profound understanding of cosmic balance. Any action was weighed carefully, any change calculated meticulously to prevent unforeseen consequences. For the Eldorans, existence was a journey toward ultimate understanding, not a game to be won or lost. Other civilizations looked to them with awe and admiration, hoping to learn from their wisdom. Then one day, a new species appeared on the galactic stage: humans. Humanity's first contact with the galaxy's civilized races had been nothing short of chaotic. Unlike most species, which took generations to fully adapt to interstellar society, humans adapted quickly. They mingled with other races with a sense of familiarity and confidence that left even the most open-minded alien societies astounded. They spoke with ease to beings far more powerful than themselves, and their curiosity was limitless. But what really set humans apart was their relationship with risk. While most civilizations saw risk as something to be mitigated or avoided, humans seemed to embrace it, even seek it out. This attitude was incomprehensible to species like the Eldorans, who had spent millennia cultivating a culture of cautious advancement. For the Eldorans, the universe was a delicate balance, a web of cause and effect that could be easily disrupted by even the smallest recklessness. At first, the Eldorans observed humans with a mix of amusement and mild concern. They watched as humans set up colonies on inhospitable worlds, mined asteroids known for their instability, and tested weapon systems in environments that would make most species shudder. Tales began to circulate of humans performing daring stunts in zero gravity, of explorers who dove into the poisonous atmospheres of gas giants just to see what it was like. The Eldorans soon learned about a phrase that seemed to pop up in almost every story about humans: "Hold my beer." The phrase quickly became a sort of galactic shorthand. When humans said it, it meant they were about to do something reckless, dangerous, or downright insane. Sometimes, it was a last-ditch solution to a problem. Other times, it was simply a challenge that a human decided to take on, regardless of the danger. As the years passed, the phrase, "hold my beer," became almost legendary. For most species, it was a source of fascination. But for the Eldorans, it became a warning, a sign that something unpredictable was about to happen. They had seen humans undertake impossible tasks and walk away unscathed. They had seen them embrace challenges that no one else dared face. And in every case, the humans seemed to come out victorious. Despite their reservations, the Eldorans couldn't help but be intrigued. They sent scholars to Earth to study this strange species more closely. They observed humans in their natural environments, watching as they engaged in behaviors that would be deemed suicidal anywhere else in the galaxy. The Eldorans documented humans scaling sheer cliffs with nothing but their hands, diving into icy waters without protection, and standing on the edge of erupting volcanoes to take photographs. But humans weren't just daredevils. They were also problem solvers. The Eldorans noticed that humans approached every challenge with a unique blend of creativity and audacity. Where other species might see an insurmountable obstacle, humans saw an opportunity for innovation. They would dismantle entire spaceships just to find a new use for the parts, jury-rigging complex solutions to impossible problems with an almost uncanny instinct. One incident, in particular, solidified the humans' reputation as the galaxy's most audacious species. It happened during a multi-species expedition to the Orion Nebula, a swirling mass of cosmic gases and gravitational anomalies that was widely considered a no-go zone for all but the most advanced ships. The Eldorans, leading the expedition, had mapped out a precise route through the nebula, calculating every maneuver down to the second to avoid the deadly gravitational shifts. The humans, naturally, had brought along their own ship, a patchwork vessel held together with parts from various other species. It looked crude compared to the sleek Eldarin craft, and the Eldarin captain, Zyron, was visibly unimpressed. Still, they allowed the humans to join, curious to see how they would handle the rigorous demands of the journey. As the ships entered the nebula, everything went smoothly at first. But halfway through, an unexpected gravitational shift disrupted the Eldarin's carefully plotted course. Alarms blared as ships veered off path, struggling to stabilize. The Eldarins recalculated their position, adjusting their navigational systems to compensate. The humans, however, had a different approach. Without missing a beat, the human captain, who went by the name Finn, turned to his crew and said, "Hold my beer." In a move that horrified the Eldarins, Finn disengaged all automated systems and took manual control of his ship. He barked orders to his crew, who worked with practiced efficiency, adjusting power levels and recalibrating the thrusters on the fly. The Eldarins watched in stunned silence as the human ship spun and twisted through the shifting gravitational fields, navigating by instinct and sheer audacity. The humans adapted to each new shift as it happened, moving with a speed and flexibility that the Eldarins' own ships couldn't match. Within minutes, the human vessel was clear of the danger zone, its crew grinning and high-fiving each other. Meanwhile, the Eldarins were still struggling to adjust their systems. Eventually, they managed to steady their course, but not without sustaining significant damage to their navigation arrays. Captain Zyron, humbled and shaken, demanded to know how the humans had managed such a feat. Finn simply shrugged and replied, "Sometimes you just have to go with your gut." That phrase stuck with the Eldarins. The concept of going with your gut was alien to them. Eldarins relied on centuries of data, on precision, on meticulous planning. The idea of trusting instinct, of improvising in the face of danger, was almost incomprehensible. But the humans seemed to live by it, and their results spoke for themselves. After the incident in the Oran Nebula, the Eldarins began to take humans more seriously. They invited humans to participate in research missions, diplomatic ventures, and even defense initiatives, hoping to learn from their unique perspective. But with each new endeavor, the Eldarins found themselves baffled anew. Humans consistently defied protocol, thinking of solutions that were unorthodox at best and downright risky at worst. One mission involved an asteroid threatening a major Eldarin colony. The Eldarins, as was their way, devised a complex plan to slowly alter the asteroid's course over several weeks. It was a flawless plan, safe and certain. But then one of the human engineers on the team had an idea. Why not strap a propulsion system directly onto the asteroid and blast it off course? The Eldarins protested, pointing out the dangers. The calculations were uncertain. If anything went wrong, the asteroid could end up on a worse collision course. But the humans insisted, and before the Eldarins could object further, they heard those infamous words, "Hold my beer." The humans rigged up a propulsion system using spare parts, tethered the asteroid to their ship, and activated the makeshift thrusters. The asteroid lurched off course, its trajectory shifting just enough to miss the colony by a safe margin. The Eldarins could only watch in awe and mild terror as the humans cheered and patted each other on the back. Over time, "Hold my beer" became a phrase that resonated throughout the galaxy. It was a rallying cry for humanity's unbreakable spirit, a promise that no matter the odds, humans would face any challenge head-on. Other species began adopting the phrase as a kind of joke, but there was an undertone of respect in it, too, a recognition that humans had something no other species did. The Eldarins, though, still felt a sense of unease. They had learned to admire humanity's courage, but they could not understand it. To them, humanity was a beautiful, dangerous mystery, a species that danced on the edge of chaos and survived through sheer willpower. And though they would never admit it, the Eldarins began to feel something they had not experienced in centuries, a hint of fear. Because if there was one thing they had learned, it was that when humans said, "Hold my beer," anything was possible, and that was terrifying. In the wake of humanity's impressive, if reckless, feats across the galaxy, an undeniable curiosity spread among the Eldarins. The ancient race, for all its wisdom and poise, had begun to realize that humans possessed a unique quality they could neither quantify nor emulate. This species from a modest blue planet had a way of facing the most formidable dangers with improvisation, courage, and a puzzling instinct that, more often than not, led to success. The Eldorans, ever the scholars and seekers of knowledge, became determined to understand what drove humanity to embrace such outrageous risks. If they could somehow harness or even replicate this trait, it would fill a gap in their understanding of the universe, perhaps even push their mastery over existence to new heights. So, the Eldorans decided to invite a human team to participate in one of their most ambitious research projects to date, the Black Hole Experiment. The Black Hole Experiment was no ordinary scientific endeavor. Located near the edges of the Nidar expanse, a newly discovered black hole had exhibited unpredictable energy fluctuations, temporal distortions, and magnetic shifts that defied even the Eldorans' vast knowledge. This anomaly did not behave like a traditional black hole. Instead, it emitted bursts of radiation in regular intervals and seemed to destabilize any matter that came within its proximity. The Eldorans believed that by harnessing this black hole's unique properties, they could develop a new form of energy, an almost limitless power source that could fuel their civilization for eons. They had established a massive research station on the edge of the black hole, a complex structure encased in gravitational fields and intricate stabilizing devices. This station was their crown jewel, equipped with technology that represented the pinnacle of Eldoran engineering. Every calculation, every procedure, had been meticulously devised to avoid triggering a catastrophic chain reaction. Human participation in such a high-stakes experiment was controversial among the Eldorans. Many of their leaders argued that humanity's unpredictable nature could endanger the project. But others, fascinated by humanity's track record of facing the impossible, argued that their presence could prove invaluable. Perhaps the Eldorans reasoned the humans might even have insights the Eldorans lacked. Thus, a small group of human scientists and engineers was invited to join the Black Hole Experiment. The human team was led by Captain Lena Graves, a seasoned scientist-adventurer with a reputation for tackling dangerous phenomena head-on. With her unruly red hair and confident stride, she had an air of fearless curiosity that made her the perfect candidate for the mission. Accompanying her were a few carefully selected specialists, engineers, quantum physicists, and a data analyst who'd once been a stunt pilot on Earth. As the humans boarded the Eldoran research station, the Eldorans greeted them with reserved courtesy. Captain Silent, the Eldoran scientist in charge of the project, was a stoic figure with an almost otherworldly calmness. To her, every aspect of the mission was a carefully planned equation, and she expected the humans to follow the procedures meticulously. But as soon as the human crew saw the readings from the black hole, they began to question nearly every assumption the Eldorans had made. "It's like nothing we've ever seen," Lena murmured as she studied the data, her eyes wide with excitement. "Are you sure we can't get a closer look?" Captain Silent raised an elegant brow, clearly taken aback. "A closer look would be ill-advised. Our calculations indicate that approaching the anomaly directly could destabilize the gravitational field." Lena shrugged, her mind already racing with ideas. "But have you tried diverting the gravitational energy from within the field itself? I mean, it might be dangerous, but if we used a gravitational pulse to shift the black hole's center of mass..." Silent's jaw tightened. To suggest approaching a black hole's core to manipulate its gravitational field directly was beyond reckless. But before she could voice her objections, Lena turned to her team, the spark of a mad idea already gleaming in her eyes. "Hold my beer," she said with a grin, the words now legendary among human adventurers and scientists alike. Silent watched in horror as the humans began to ready their ship, checking thrusters, calibrating systems, and preparing a device they called a gravitational anchor, an invention that baffled even the most advanced Eldoran engineers. The device, they explained, could theoretically stabilize their ship's trajectory by anchoring it to the black hole's gravitational waves. The concept seemed ludicrous. Any miscalculation would mean instant annihilation. But the humans were undeterred. "Are you certain about this?" Silent asked, struggling to mask her worry. This plan is beyond dangerous. Dangerous? Lena laughed, securing her helmet. Captain, we're humans. It's what we do best. And with that, the human ship detached from the research station, engaging thrusters as it moved toward the black hole. Inside the research station, the Eldorans watched the scene unfold on their monitors, their screens filled with chaotic fluctuations of energy and gravity that would have overwhelmed even the most advanced navigational systems. Yet the humans moved with astonishing agility, using the gravitational anchor to latch onto the black hole's swirling waves, weaving through bursts of radiation and bending time and space around them with unrestrained audacity. Every turn, every course correction was improvised, made in real time by the instincts of the human crew. At one point, a massive gravitational surge flared up, and the Eldorans braced for the worst. But instead of retreating, Lena and her team accelerated, riding the surge like a cosmic wave. The move was suicidal, a maneuver no sane species would have attempted. Yet it worked, stabilizing their ship's path just long enough for Lena to activate a modified probe and launch it into the core of the black hole. The probe sent back data that the Eldorans could scarcely believe. The black hole's energy fluctuations were actually resonating with a secondary gravitational field deep within its core. The humans, through sheer recklessness and intuition, had uncovered a property the Eldorans hadn't even theorized, a hidden layer of gravity that could be manipulated to harness the black hole's energy in ways previously thought impossible. With Lena's team still within the gravitational pull, the black hole began to emit a surge of energy far stronger than anything the Eldorans had calculated. The stabilizers on the station wavered, and alarms blared throughout the facility. The Eldorans scrambled to adjust their calculations, rerouting power to containment fields, but nothing seemed to work. The gravitational field around the station was collapsing. Panic set in among the Eldoran scientists as they braced for the inevitable implosion, but in the midst of the chaos, the humans' voices crackled over the comms. "We're going to try something," Lena said, her voice calm yet filled with an edge of excitement. "Just give us a few seconds." Without waiting for approval, the humans activated the gravitational anchor at full capacity, creating an artificial field that reversed the black hole's energy output for a brief moment. This daring move, once again, defied all conventional logic. By artificially reversing the field, they destabilized the core just enough to release a controlled burst of energy directly into the Eldoran containment systems. The station systems, already on the brink of collapse, suddenly began to stabilize as the surge of energy integrated with their shielding mechanisms. The gravitational field quieted, the alarms ceased, and the station's monitors flickered back to normal. Inside the command center, Captain Silent stared in disbelief. The humans had saved the station with a strategy that bordered on pure madness. The gravitational pulse had bought them enough time to recalibrate, to restabilize the field around the black hole. Through a combination of reckless audacity and near-impossible skill, the humans had managed to solve a problem that had left the galaxy's greatest minds baffled. As the human ship docked back with the station, Lena and her team emerged, battered but triumphant. They exchanged proud smiles, high fives, and laughter, as if they had just returned from a routine mission rather than a near-death encounter with the most powerful force in the universe. Captain Silent, still in shock, approached Lena. She could scarcely find the words to express her astonishment. "I don't understand," Silent finally said, her voice a mix of admiration and disbelief. "You improvised in the face of death, against every known law of science, and somehow, you succeeded?" Lena chuckled, patting Silent on the shoulder. "That's the thing about humans. Sometimes you just have to take the plunge and trust yourself to make it through." The Eldorans watched as the humans shared their laughter, their casual confidence shining through in a moment that should have terrified them. For the Eldorans, this experience was a revelation. They had spent millennia seeking perfection, calculating every possibility, and avoiding unnecessary risk. But these humans, they were something else entirely. In their audacious gamble, the humans had taught the Eldorans something they'd never considered: that sometimes survival required a willingness to embrace the unknown, to confront chaos head-on, and make something extraordinary out of it. That instinct, that willingness to face danger with a grin and a hold my beer, was something no Eldarin calculation could replicate. As Lena and her team departed, the Eldarins felt an uncharacteristic sense of anticipation. They had witnessed a new kind of bravery, one that went beyond logic or strategy. And in that moment, they understood that humans were not just another species. They were a force of nature, a reminder that even in an orderly universe, chaos had its place. The phrase, "hold my beer," would echo through Eldarin society. In the days following the black hole experiment, the galaxy buzzed with tales of the humans' audacity and brilliance. It was the kind of story that grew with each retelling. How the humans had dared to face a black hole, how they'd improvised in the face of destruction, and how, with a few chaotic moves, they'd saved not only themselves but the galaxy's most ambitious research project. For the humans, it was another tale of survival, another notch in their belt. But for the Eldarins, it was a revelation. The idea that the universe could be engaged with in such a direct, almost playful way shook the core of their society. If humans could survive a black hole with nothing but guts and grit, perhaps the Eldarins had been too cautious. It was an uncomfortable thought, but one they couldn't shake. For the first time in centuries, some among the Eldarins began to wonder if their calculated approach to life was, in its own way, a limitation. In their centuries of peace, the Eldarins had kept their civilization isolated, untouched by chaos or the unexpected. Now, a new movement was growing among the younger Eldarins, inspired by humanity's bravery. They wanted to test the boundaries of their existence, to break free from the carefully maintained order of their society and see what lay beyond. They were eager to face challenges, even if it meant a little risk. But the Eldarins' leadership was uneasy. The sudden enthusiasm for human-style improvisation and daring seemed too drastic, too chaotic. They began to see humanity not as an ally, but as a potential threat to their way of life. To preserve the order they had cultivated for so long, the Eldarin Council decided to issue a proclamation. All humans were now banned from participating in Eldarin-led research projects, their methods deemed incompatible with Eldarin values. They didn't realize, however, that this decision would only set the stage for a much greater challenge. Months later, a crisis emerged that would test the galaxy's very survival. The Eldarins had detected a vast and ancient cosmic anomaly drifting toward their homeworld, an anomaly unlike anything they had ever seen. It was an interdimensional rift, a tear in space-time that emitted strange energy bursts, disrupting every sensor that attempted to analyze it. As it approached, gravitational fields shifted, solar systems destabilized, and entire planets experienced strange fluctuations in time. The rift was powerful enough to devastate their homeworld and potentially create a chain reaction that would affect the entire galaxy. The Eldarins, for all their knowledge, had no idea how to stop it. All their simulations showed the same outcome. No matter what they tried, the rift would reach their world within weeks, and there was nothing they could do to change its course. As the Eldarin Council debated how to handle the crisis, a single message came from a human exploration ship stationed on the edges of Eldarin space. The message was simple and to the point. "We're here to help. Let us in." The Council's initial reaction was one of anger and dismissal. Humanity's unpredictable methods had always disturbed them. But the more they debated, the more they realized that they were out of options. In the end, it was desperation that led them to invite the humans to their world, knowing full well that if humanity's methods failed, they might doom themselves and the Eldarins alike. Captain Lena Graves, the same leader from the black hole experiment, was chosen to lead the human team. She arrived on the Eldarin homeworld in a battered but functional ship, a mixed crew of scientists, engineers, and combat specialists by her side. The Eldarins greeted her with reserved skepticism, their unease evident as they explained the situation. "This rift is beyond anything we have encountered," said Captain Silent, the Eldarin who had witnessed Lena's audacity at the black hole station. "Its trajectory is fixed, and the energy it emits disrupts all conventional approaches. We have tried redirecting it with gravitational fields, but it continues toward us, indifferent to every countermeasure. Lena studied the readings in silence, then turned to her team. "All right," she said, her voice calm but intense. "Let's get a closer look. Set up a forward station near the rift and deploy the energy stabilizers." The Eldarins watched in stunned silence as the humans began setting up makeshift equipment in the rift's path. Their methods were baffling, almost primitive compared to the Eldarin technology. But as the readings began to come in, it became clear that the humans were onto something. The rift's energy fluctuations, previously unreadable, began to form patterns, revealing a strange, cyclical rhythm that no one had detected before. Captain Silent was fascinated despite herself. "How did you know to look for a pattern?" she asked Lena, struggling to comprehend the human's intuitive approach. Lena shrugged. "When you're dealing with something chaotic, you have to assume there's a rhythm hiding somewhere in the noise. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's subtle. You just have to look at it from enough angles." Hours passed, each moment filled with new data and calculations. Eventually, Lena's team devised a strategy, a gravitational tether, as they called it, that would anchor one edge of the rift to a nearby star, redirecting its course away from the Eldarin world. But the tether required manual activation, a procedure so dangerous that no Eldarin would have dared attempt it. Lena, undeterred, decided to do it herself. The Eldarins protested, pointing out the almost certain risk of death. But Lena just smiled and raised a hand, silencing their objections. "We're here to solve a problem, not play it safe," she said, her eyes gleaming with determination. "And besides, I didn't come all this way to watch from the sidelines." With a small shuttle, Lena and her team launched into the void, approaching the rift.